Have you ever met someone you thought was weak, only to discover they carried the strength of 100 storms? Tonight, I'll tell you a story about a quiet single mother who lived on a little farm. Bullies thought she was an easy target. But what they didn't know, what nobody knew, was that she had once been one of the most feared snipers in the Green Berets. This is a story of silence, resilience, and the moment when a mother decided she would never let fear rule her home again. The sun rose over the rolling hills of a small rural town, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and gold. At the edge of those fields stood a modest farmhouse, worn by time but still strong. Inside lived Emily Carter, a single mother in her late 30s, raising her 10-year-old son, Sam. To the townsfolk, Emily was a quiet woman who kept to herself. She sold eggs, milk, and a few crops at the local market. She never raised her voice, never spoke much about her past, and always seemed to disappear into the background. People pitied her. They thought her soft, fragile, just another struggling single mom. But Emily had scars nobody could see. Years ago, before Sam was born, she had served as a sniper in the U.S. Army Special Forces. A Green Beret. She had faced shadows most people couldn't imagine, dust storms in the desert, cold nights in foreign lands, and the sharp silence that came before pulling the trigger. She had walked away from that life to protect her son, promising herself never to raise a weapon again. Life in the countryside wasn't easy. Emily worked long days, her hands rough and calloused from tending the land. But for Sam, she smiled. He was her anchor. His laughter reminded her why she endured the isolation, the judgment, and the struggle to keep their little farm alive. Then came the bullies. They were not children, but grown men, local troublemakers who thought they ran the town. They mocked Emily at the market, calling her weak and pathetic. They sneered at her son, kicked over her baskets of produce, and spread rumors that she couldn't pay her bills. At first, Emily ignored them. She had faced worse before. But things escalated. One evening, Sam returned home with a bruised cheek. "They shoved me off my bike, Mom," he whispered, holding back tears. Emily felt her blood boil, but she stayed calm. She told him, "We don't fight their way. We rise above it." But the men didn't stop. They began trespassing onto the farm, spray painting insults on her barn, stealing tools, and leaving trash behind. Emily reported it to the sheriff, but the bullies had friends in town, and no one seemed willing to act. One night, Emily stood at her window and watched their flashlights flicker across her land. She clenched her fists, remembering the promise she had made to leave her old life behind. Yet when she saw Sam sleeping peacefully, unaware of the danger, she knew something inside her was changing. She whispered to herself, "They think I'm weak, they have no idea." The next day, Emily dug into the back of her closet, pulling out an old wooden chest. Inside lay fragments of her past, her dog tags, a faded uniform, a photograph of her unit, and carefully wrapped gear she thought she'd never touch again. She ran her hand across the steel of her rifle. Her eyes hardened. The quiet mother the bullies mocked was gone. But Emily didn't seek revenge. Instead, she planned. She knew how to outthink an enemy, how to win without unnecessary bloodshed. The farm became her battlefield. She reinforced doors, set up silent alarms, and created hidden traps only someone with military precision could build. Sam noticed the changes. "Mom, why are you doing all this?" he asked one evening. Emily knelt before him, looking him in the eyes. "Because this is our home," she said firmly. "And no one will ever take it from us." The bullies returned one stormy night, confident and laughing as they cut across her fields. But this time, the farm fought back. Floodlights snapped on, blinding them. Wire traps caught their feet. Motion sensors triggered loud alarms. The men stumbled, cursed, and grew frustrated. Then Emily stepped out of the shadows. Dressed in dark clothes, her stance was sharp and commanding, a soldier's posture reborn. She didn't raise her rifle, but the way she held it made the men freeze. "You think I'm weak," she said, her voice calm but cutting through the night. "You've mistaken kindness for fear. I was a sniper in the Green Berets. I know every move you'll make before you make it. And I will protect my son. Leave now, or I promise you, you'll regret ever setting foot on my farm." Silence hung heavy. The men, once so loud, now stammered, stepping back in fear. They had never seen Emily like this. Her eyes were steady, unblinking, and they realized the truth: this was no fragile single mother. This was a warrior who had chosen peace, not weakness. They fled into the night, their power shattered. From that day forward, the bullies never returned. Word spread quietly through town: Emily Carter wasn't someone to be trifled with. People who once pitted her began to respect her. But the real victory wasn't in scaring the bullies away. It was in what Emily showed her son. Sam looked at her differently now, not just as his mother, but as his hero. "Mom," he whispered one evening, "you're the bravest person I know." Emily smiled, pulling him close. "Bravery isn't about fighting, Sam. It's about protecting what you love." And so, the quiet farm remained a place of peace. Not because the world had grown kinder, but because one woman refused to let fear define her. Emily Carter taught us all a lesson: that true strength is often hidden in silence, and that sometimes, the most ordinary people carry the most extraordinary pasts. So next time you think someone is weak, remember this story.